Hello, hello, welcome. You are now here. 5E Transformations presents this amazing course called BASE. This has been years in the making. Me consolidating all my information in regard to dating and relationships, especially when it comes to attraction, uh, and really understanding the tools to get the person you desire. So, this is real big. And we got a lot of information to go through. So what I recommend is please take notes. You know what I mean? Make sure to take notes. And this is something where look, everybody watching this is at different levels. The people that I work with some people that are extremely new to this space. And they have a lot of different uh, barriers that they need to break through in order to get where they want to go. And a lot of this information is new to them that they'll hear in this course. Okay. So just keep that in mind. And then also, I have some people that are very experienced where most of the stuff they hear in this course may not be new to them. But my goal for those people is for you to get one, two, three gems that can really accelerate your growth. You know what I mean? There's a lot of information in this course, so I'm going to try to move as quickly as possible, just so I can make sure to touch on the main points and I don't have you here too long. But it's really important you take notes and you look for those gems. This is one of those courses you'll probably want to watch again in the future to stay sharp and to brush up your tools. Any questions that you have, like I said, I'll be adding little upgraded videos to this course every now and then, until I feel like it's done for the most part. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, you can go to the 5D community on the website, 5dtransformations.com. You can join our free community, join that page, and you just subscribe in there with your email, your name, and that's all you need. You can join. And from there, you can ask me any questions that you want me to maybe expound on, if you did watch, if you did end up seeing this course. So, with that being said, um, let's get to it. It's important that you just keep an open mind during this course. You don't got to agree with everything. The goal is really to provide you with a new perspective. That's what they call enlightenment, right? It's inner light, and it's meant to shine new realizations and bring new realizations to yourself so that you can have a life that you imagine when it comes to dating and attracting that beautiful person for yourself or whatever kind of dynamic you want. You know what I mean? Everything is possible, and we'll discuss it in this course. So don't mind me. It's allergy season going on. It's the spring right now. I know you might be watching this any time of the year, but as a result, my nose is a little stuffy, so don't mind me. But um, with that being said, we're good to go. So let's get to it. So we'll be going over this first part, the introduction, the vision. That's really about you. Understanding attraction from the 5D, that's also part of Module 1. And once again, it's primarily about you, but it's also now educating you on attraction, right? And how attraction works so that you got an idea of yourself and the field out there when it comes to attraction and what to expect. We're going to go over understanding the dating game from the 5D perspective. So we're going to go deeper into that, understanding modern dating and how to navigate it, the importance of qualifying and how to do it properly, so that you're not one of these people who are over here just being, just judging everybody, right? That's not cool. So we're going to touch on that. And then we're going to talk about base, which is what obviously is the name of this course. It's very important to understand that the yin and yang, the feminine and masculine energy, and then we'll touch on some final things. So I'll try to run through this quick because we got a lot of slides to go through and a lot of powerful information to touch on. So once again, make sure to have your pen and pad or your notes or your computer and listen very closely. It's going to be a lot of game in this course. A lot of game in this course. So, with that being said, let's get to it. All right. So, we first got to start with the vision. All right. What is your vision? And here's the thing, everybody has a different vision. As you can see, there's a lot of different things going on here. You got some people that just want to be by the fire with their partner, by the water. You know, they got that vision. There's somebody that imagines being intimate with that person they desire. There's somebody who just wants to have fun, just wants to cuddle. And and then there's people who want to go and hang out together, right, as friends and just have fun, right? The vision is important because everybody desire something different when it comes to dating and relationships. We generally desire the overall same thing, which is going to be having a partner that you can grow with, or whether that's multiple partners, whatever you desire to have in a relationship, or whether it's to have a very close friendship with somebody that you can be intimate with as well. I like to keep it open because I want us to understand that the vision a lot of the time um, tends to be very limited because of how we were raised. Traditionally speaking, everyone was kind of groomed and raised to follow uh, and to look at dating in a very traditional manner. You like somebody, you take them on a date, you show them that you care about them a lot, you buy them things, you treat them nice, and then they, you give it the person. I mean, they embrace you. The person embraces you. You two end up leading to intimacy, kids, marriage, and that's it, right? The house and the car. What I've come to learn through my own journey, through so many people I've worked with, the hundreds of people I've worked with, is that everyone doesn't want that ending. Some people don't really care for marriage, and they prefer other options. Some people really value marriage. You know what I mean? Some people have different ideas of what they want. Some people have monogamous situations, open, poly. Those are options that are on the table for a lot of different people. And then ultimately, some people don't really look so far into like just wanting to give somebody a marry. For some people, it's just looking for companionship and having the skills to get a quality person in your life whenever you desire to do that. So I want you to understand your vision, because that is going to be like your North Star. That is going to be guiding you with everything you learn from this point in the course. You want to look at it through the filter of what you ultimately want when it comes to the vision that you see. Now, with that being said, once you see where you want to go, just like the North Star, you can't just grab the North Star and bring it down to you and get it right now, right? You have to follow a path toward that. And just keep following the path until you get there. And that's how this is with the vision. I don't expect you to meet somebody and from the gate say, "This is I want 3 kids and a house and 3 cars," and that's a lot to put on somebody, and that is going to take a process to get to that end point. So instead of trying to just get to the end point, enjoy the journey, right? But the vision is there so that you're not just on a journey to nowhere. I look at it like a MapQuest or like Google Maps or whatever you use. It's a navigation system, right? And you got to know where you want to go so that when you're over there driving around, you know where the end destination is. So take some time right now. You can pause this, whatever you got to do, but I want you to write down the vision that you want to accomplish um, when it comes to your dating and relationship life. And like I said, it could be just interacting. It could be something as small as, after I watch this course, I want to be able to go out and understand dating and relationships with a better understanding. And maybe I want to go out and communicate, or it may be I want to find somebody and get married. Like, understand what it is. And once you have that understood, get ready to see how all of the things we're going to talk about applies to this vision. All right. So what are the statistics saying, right? That's the question. What are the statistics saying? Well, the statistics are saying some different things. Number one, 47% of Americans say dating is harder now than it was 10 years ago. Uh, 45% of respondents reported that online dating is really the primary way that they meet people, which is crazy. You wouldn't think that, right? But dating apps have now ascended to the top of, you know, the modern dating world, and it has now become this thing that was once taboo. to being one of the main ways that people meet. And this is very interesting. Um, 33% meet through a friend, which is your social network. That's always been one of the strongest, uh, systems in which people are able to find potential partners, right? And then 32% they meet at concerts or festivals. So I mean that's interesting. I mean that to me that represents the nightlife, social, doing things, and then 27% on social media. So 47% are coming from dating apps. 27% is coming from social media, your Instagram, your Twitter, your Snapchat, whatever, you know. And if you combine the social media with the dating apps, that's about 70. I'm sorry, that's about 74%. I mean, that's pretty massive. We're talking about, I'm sorry, it's about 77%. Let me get that right. 45% of respondents report using online dating apps. Oh, okay. And I think this is the remainder of, where the people are. But 27% on social media. So you're looking at a good 60 to 70% of, you know, people meeting on these apps. You know what I mean? So you got to really think about that. That's pretty interesting. Now, the current state of dating in America, and all of this data was supplied through a specific all of this data was supplied through a website. It was data that was collected. Stacy Diane Alvarez Liam, PhD, provided this information, and it's readily available. You can kind of figure out where these statistics are coming from. But I mean, even when I look at other statistics that I ran across, um, what we're seeing is that there's less people interacting and meeting people in real time, and there's more people doing it through dating apps, through social media. So there's already a natural separation when it comes to finding that potential suitor, and there's also a lot of difficulties that can come from this. When people are meeting in person, you're dealing with people that can be a lot more picky, that are looking for more superficial things. And so I wanted to show you a video that kind of touches on this. So let's take a look at it. All right, let's see what she says.
What makes a date boring?
The man when he doesn't speak, when he does nothing unexpected.
If conversation doesn't run smoothly.
No sense of humor.
If the other person doesn't try and make any jokes, or if they don't show any interest in the other person.
No one asking questions about you.
Why do you not like monologuing?
It's boring.
Right?
Inevitably.
Guys are just talks and talks and talks and doesn't even give a girl like a chance to talk about herself. When they don't approach the conversation.
Why does that make it boring?
They don't follow the conversation. It's just you talking or only them talking. There's not like an exchange.
What makes a date boring?
The man when he doesn't speak, when he does nothing unexpected.
If conversation doesn't run smoothly.
No sense of humor.
If the other person doesn't try and make any jokes, or if they don't show any interest in the other person.
No one asking questions about you.
Why do you not like monologuing?
It's boring.
Right?
Inevitably.
Guys are just talks and talks and talks and doesn't even give a girl like a chance to talk about herself. When they don't approach the conversation.
Why does that make it boring?
They don't follow the conversation. It's just you talking or only them talking. There's not like an exchange.
All right, so that's just people talking about how boring dates can be, why people aren't interested in dating right now. And honestly, this is a common theme that I've heard, which is basically that, it's getting boring. You know what I mean? A lot of the people that you meet online, a lot of the people that you meet when it comes to dating, aren't the best options when you meet them in person, right? And that's the beauty of interacting in real time, is that you get an idea of the person in real time. Like, we can text all day, we can talk on social media, but when you and that person meet in person, a lot of the time people don't even know who they're dealing with, right? And so we gotta, begin to understand where things are headed, and then take a look and say, well, what direction do I want to go in, so that I don't end up being one of these guys that are the way that the ladies described in this video. And for the women, I want you all to understand, look at how the ladies feel. I'm sure you share some similarities, you know what I mean, where you can see that dating isn't, as much of a positive experience as initially you thought. It can be one of these things where it's just like, where it's a headache. And so, that's something to keep in mind. We're going to touch on that a little bit more, but let's continue. So the big question is this. The big question is, who are you? Right? Now, this is a pretty heavy question, but it's important because one thing I noticed is that everyone wants to manifest this amazing person, but then you got to understand, who are you? Because the reality is, depending on who you are, is going to determine who you attract. And it's not about who you are innately. It's about who you believe you are. What story do you have for yourself? Some people are watching this and they have a story where I've been a loser my whole life. Nobody likes me. Nobody approaches me, talks to me. And you got to think, like, is this story a survival story that would attract somebody? There's some women who have stories where they're like, I've been through this, I've been through that, I'm a beaten, battered, like, I'm telling you, they might not say that directly, but that's the energy you feel. Then you have some people that are very grandiose, right? That's imbalanced as well. Oh, I'm all of this, and the person needs to have that. And so we want to veer away from that. And what I want you to understand is when I say, who are you? I'm talking about your characteristics and your qualities. It doesn't have to be grandiose. You could say, I'm a simple person with a XYZ job. I like self-development. I want you to write down your characteristics. Okay. So I want you to take some time right here and write down the characteristics of who you believe you are. Because based on these characteristics, the person that you end up attracting, you want them to relate to this, right? So you can't really figure out who the person you want to attract is until you have a good idea of who you are. And I don't expect you to have the perfect idea of who you are, because that takes separate work, right? To figure out, who am I? But I want you to look at yourself in the most positive light that you can, because nobody's perfect. And I want you to list out your positive qualities, of who you are. And I want you to understand who you are, because this identity of who you are is what's going to be going out there into the field and communicating with people. And when I say going out into the field, I just mean going out into the world and communicating. So, we call it a game, right? Or people call it a game, the game of attraction and things like that. They call it a game because there's masculine and feminine energy going against each other. Now, the goal is for them to come together in unison, but there's this natural polar thing going on, right? That has to become one. And that's what makes it a game, quote unquote, because there's two sides. There's male, female energy, masculine, feminine energy. It doesn't have to just be a man and a woman. It could be a man and a man. It could be a woman and a woman. It's just a matter of whoever is embracing more of their masculine energy, and whoever is embracing more of their feminine energy in the relationship dynamic, right? So that's how that goes. Sometimes it can change. Sometimes a woman can be more masculine with one person and be more in her feminine energy with another. So depending who you pair with as well can determine what side you lean toward. But I want you to understand, who are you? And I want you to really write that down and take a look at that and become very comfortable with that idea. Because when you go out there and communicate with people and talk to them, you want to share the characteristics of who you are, because that will help them determine how to size you up, what kind of person they're dealing with. And it will also help you realize what kind of person you're dealing with, because when they get ideas of who you are and they see, oh, this person really knows who they are, it makes them say, okay, let me check myself and see what I'm bringing to the table to match this person, right? But like we said, we don't want it to be too grandiose, and we also don't want it to be too negative. I want you to have a positive frame, explaining your positive qualities and characteristics. And once you do that, you'll see how it will definitely aid you moving forward. So This is going to be a fun little, thing to talk about here because we have 4 levels, and I've actually taken the time to kind of give you an example of the 4 levels. Now, I'm going to be showing the 4 levels of where you are. So, number 1, we have inexperienced. This is somebody that's new, that's novice when it comes to dating and attraction. They don't really understand how to attract somebody. They haven't done a lot of dating. And so, that's the level you would be at. And so I wanted to give an example from the male perspective in terms of what it would look like for an inexperienced guy to talk to a woman. And I want women to also look at this, right? Because there are a lot of women that are inexperienced and that are new to relationships and can feel nervous. And they might have a hard time spotting how experienced somebody is. They might prefer somebody that's inexperienced. They might prefer somebody that's experienced. From my personal experience, women tend to like a guy that has experience. The more inexperienced the guy is, the more challenges he'll deal with initially. But the good thing is, we're going to talk about how to level up if you are inexperienced. So, with that being said, I have a video to kind of just touch on the experience of someone that is inexperienced and kind of give you an idea of, what that looks like. And so in this video, it's a young lady that is sharing her experience of being on a boring date. And this is typically what women run into when they're on dates with inexperienced guys. And for the ladies out there, you can see if you resonate with what she's talking about. So let's check it out.
Having boring conversations with girls. Number 1, stop asking interview questions. Does this sound familiar? You're on a date and you say, so what do your parents do? How many siblings do you have? Where did you grow up? Oh, it's so boring. Like, even the girl's gonna be like, I feel like I'm on an interview. Number 2, you want to ask
Okay, so we're not going to go too deep into all of her advice, but what you'll notice is guys that are inexperienced are generally going to ask these kind of questions. And honestly, what's so funny, and I wanted to touch on this for the women, because I want the women to understand something that's very, very important. The guy that she's talking about, he's, these questions are so boring and things like that. Everything she complained about right there it comes from guys that are inexperienced. So a lot of the time, the guy can be a really fun, cool, awesome guy, but he's just inexperienced when it comes to dating. And so he doesn't really know what to do on the date. So he just asks basic questions. And what I notice is women tend to complain about the inexperienced guy, or they tend to complain about the master or professional guy when it comes to dating and relationships. It's hard to find an experienced guy. It's kind of like the sweet spot. He's somebody that's not too experienced to where he's quote unquote a player, right? Where he just is just racking up experiences with women. But he's also not too inexperienced to where he's new and doesn't really know how to guide or lead a woman and show dominance when the time is right. Proper dominance, not dominating her in a bad way, but more so being able to show leadership and give her the capacity to trust him in that regard. So, what I notice is a lot of the things that women hate that guys do on dates, I'm going to give the ladies a secret. The more that the guy might come off corny or lame, he's probably newer to dating, which can work in your favor because the more experienced guy you deal with, he's going to present you with a lot of challenges to secure a marriage a lot of the time or secure partnership. The inexperienced guy, he might come off corny. He might ask you boring questions, but he's probably the guy that's going to be very invested if you give him a chance to build comfort with you. So I just wanted to share that with the ladies because I hear a lot of the women I work with and women I've talked to complain about dates. But a lot of the time I'm like, hey, the best dates you've been on are generally going to be with the most experienced guys that are generally at the master level in the professional to master level. Okay. And you got to think, okay, you're having an amazing date with this guy, but you also got to keep in mind, he's probably had an awesome date with a lot of woman. So you got to be comfortable with that. We'll kind of talk about that later. Kind of touches on some other ideas, but we'll kind of go a little deeper on that later. So now in this next video, we're going to talk about the experienced guy. And what I wanted to do is give you an example of the experienced guy, right? And what that would look like. And the experienced guy is kind of like your everyday guy, socially adapted, right? They're not really super explorative. They're not out there approaching women and actively trying to date, right? And for the woman out there, if you're experienced, you're somebody that you're not out there dating a lot of people, but you have been in relationships, you have gone on dates, but you might be the type of person where, you date for a short period of time and you generally end up with someone for a period of time. Then you might be somebody that's single, and you're in the game for a little bit, then you phase out and you take your breaks. So this is just somebody that has experience. Now, what I'm going to show you is an example of a guy approaching a woman. And this is generally how an experienced guy would do it. He's not a pro or anything like that, but he's just a normal guy approaching girls. And I want the woman to see what it looks like as well, because men are generally the ones that are going to approach. Women are generally the ones who are displaying themselves and seeing who is the person that's going to qualify for them. Now, we'll touch on these later because a woman just doesn't have to do that. And I'll show you how a woman has the freedom to also, create her own opportunities when it comes to dating, and also the importance of men qualifying. But for now, let's touch on the experienced guy, and let's look at this video of how he goes about approaching, so that you all can have an idea of what an experienced guy looks like that's dating.
Hi,
What's your name?
Camilla.
Camilla? You're gorgeous.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. I think we'll make beautiful children.
Okay, now that was a pretty intense
Hey, excuse me?
line.
Excuse me? So sorry to bother you. Are you familiar with this area?
Yeah, kind of.
All right, sweet. Because I'm supposed to be meeting my girlfriend over here.
Okay.
I'm a little bit lost. Maybe you can help me find her. Here, she looks like this.
Get out of here. That was a good one, though.
What's your name?
Sierra.
Sierra? I'm sorry. I thought you were gorgeous.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
for sure. You just leave the gym?
I did.
Nice.
I have to go run do you know Annenberg?
Oh, no, not too sure.
Are you due to school here?
Yeah.
What area?
Sophomore.
All right, so now some people might look at this guy and say, wow, man, this guy's like a pro, right? Depending on where you are in the spectrum. But what makes him experienced but not a pro is, he's sharing that he's interested in her. It's a lot of buy-in. It's kind of like traditional pickup lines that he's using. And some people will look at this and say this is the master level or this is the professional level, but I'm here to tell you that's kind of the base level. That's him just going out there and winging it, just saying the first thing that comes to mind. And honestly, this is a very important thing that we're talking about, because as you go through each stage, this is how your development will be. Like, first you'll be that guy that just is saying the wrong stuff, answering the wrong question, or asking the wrong questions. Right. And then for the woman out there, if you're inexperienced, you're kind of just nervous, you're afraid to communicate, right? Which can make you come off awkward. The experienced person, on the other hand, and this woman would also qualify as an experienced woman, is in the sense that when he communicated with her, they both were willing to communicate. You know what I mean? And they both were just having a normal conversation, right? He was saying some corny lines, to be honest. He was already showing a lot of interest, which would turn some women off, because, he's like, oh, you're so gorgeous. But nonetheless, it's opening a conversation. And I want you guys to know that even at this level, look, he's having success, right? And if you continue to watch through, he just continues to talk to her. We can kind of watch it a little longer. You could just see how he goes about having a good interaction.
Okay, I'm a junior.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it cool if I get your number?
Yeah, of course. What's your name?
I'm Kiss.
Kiss?
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Thank you.
It's creative.
A little bit.
A little bit. I'm Sierra with the C, so I'm a little
With the
bit
C.
creative.
Okay, sweet,
Yeah.
sweet.
See, now you won't forget.
No, I definitely won't.
That was a good one, though. I
Yeah, you like
appreciate
that? Yeah, for sure.
There you
All right,
go.
I'll text you, okay?
Yeah,
You
thanks,
from
Jesus.
Williamsport?
Scranton area.
Scranton? Okay.
Yeah.
You have a good one, okay?
All right, look, that almost felt like how you meet somebody at work. Like, yeah, you have a good one. You know, he went straight to, can I get your number? Like, this is a normal interaction for a woman, right? A guy might walk up to you like this, and I want you to understand, you know, if he's just saying a corny line or whatever, he's probably experienced, but he's probably not like a super pro, which is good. Sometimes, because that means that, you know, he's getting out of his comfort zone, he's confident, but he's still somebody that is learning and growing, and so that's good because you can, you know, grow with a person like that. So there you go, just like a normal interaction. That's how it would be for a normal interaction. Now let's get to the professional level, right? And I call this explorative. This is when you're in a phase where you're actively going out and you want new experiences. You want women in your life. You want to have, you know, uh, go to cool places, hang out with your friends, have fun. This is when you start to tap into that fun. You know, that's when you're that young guy or that older guy that is ready to go out and see if you can get a beautiful woman in your life. Or during the day, you might want to go out and you see something you like. You're like, oh, let me go after. You know, I'm exploring. I'm seeing what I can gain, right, out of the environment and with my attraction and seeing what I can do with it. And then for the woman out there, explorative, that's going out. You're in a phase where you're open to date. You're open to mingle and talk. You know what I mean? You're in a space where you want to have fun, hang out with your friends, see new guys, meet new people. You know what I mean? And doing it intentionally. You're not just going out. You know, normally, like even like myself, man, I can be in the house for a long time, and I kind of got to push myself out the house. Lucky for me, people reach out to me all the time to do stuff, so it's kind of like every weekend there's something to do. But you know, every now and then you got to just go out and do stuff. Well, when I say be intentional, like me, when I'm in my professional explorative mode, I'm going out Fridays, one to two times a week intentionally, whether I feel like it or not. I'm going to go out so I can meet somebody, so I can have a new experience and build the momentum. Okay. And then, so yeah, with that being said, let me show you an example of a professional, right? And how that would look like if he were to talk to a woman. And I want the woman to understand what a professional kind of looks like as well when it comes to dating, when it comes to communicating, when it comes to the attraction stage. All of this is just attraction. You know, these people don't know each other. They haven't been on a date yet. But this is kind of the first stage before you get to a date. You two have to meet. And I want you all to see interactions that aren't just swiping left and right or saying yes or no. I want you to see interactions that are in real time, because to me, this is where the magic really happens. Now, you can still apply some of this stuff to online dating. I think online dating is awesome and you meet real people on there. But I want you to see what this looks like in real life, in real time. So this is what I would consider a more experienced guy to look like.
Hey, stop. How you doing?
I'm good.
Stop a second.
What?
I just thought it looked nice. Very interesting. So,
Interesting.
yeah, I like your really flamboyant outfit.
It's not a flamboyant, it's
Yeah, oh, so flamboyant.
How old are you? How old are you?
Now, look, what makes him experienced, right? Or what makes him a pro? Well, he's not only approaching and just saying, hey, I thought you were so gorgeous. If I could just get your number, you're so amazing. Like, no, he's coming in. First of all, this was an interesting video because he just came in and he told her to stop. And for most people, you would think, oh, that comes off rude, right? But when you're at the pro level, you become so comfortable with interactions. You've already gone through that initial stage of adapting and talking to women. And you get so comfortable that you'll go from being the initial guy I showed you where he's just like, hey, it's just nice to get your number, right? That's how you start off. You're a little nervous. You know, you're a little frazzled, and then you get more comfortable. And let's say you've talked to more and more and more girls. By the time you evolve to that next level, you can do an interaction like this where you just say, hey, stop. And then you notice he didn't just jump in and say, hey, I think you're totally hot. Look at how he transitioned, and look at kind of how natural the interaction went, where it wasn't, oh, you're super hot and I like you. And everything's already sold. All my cards are on the table. Just choose me back, right? This is where you'll notice a guy like this will be a little bit more subtle in expressing his direct interest, and he'll also be a little bit more fluid. So just take a look.
Hey, stop. How you doing?
I'm good.
Stop a second.
What?
I just thought you looked nice. Very interesting. So,
Interesting.
yeah, I like your really flamboyant outfit.
It's not flamboyant.
Okay, so he didn't just say, "Oh, you're gorgeous," blah blah blah, right? He did it, right? He did give some interest, right? Which is why he's not. This is not the master level, right? But for his interaction, he was playful. He gave a reason. Yeah, I like your flamboyant outfit. So now he's provided more context, and he's also more willing to have a conversation. The other guy was just, "Hey, let me get your phone number," which I think is fine, but because speed is important. And that's something I'll bring up. But speed is important. Write that down. Speed is important when it comes to attraction and getting, somebody to that stage where you can go on a date with them, right? But look at how he continues the conversation and the playfulness to where she begins to challenge him. She says, "How old are you?" Right? Because that's a natural response when you feel like somebody. When you notice, the more advanced you become when it comes to interacting with women, the more challenges you'll get from them, right? And for the ladies out there, you might notice that you've done this. Like when a guy comes and he's really sharp, you might hit him with a curveball question. But beyond that, ladies, I want you to understand that when a guy is approaching you and he has this kind of confidence, this comes from work, right? This isn't just like he woke up today and was able to approach this well because that's just what he does. This takes repetition. This takes practice. So yes, ladies, you might not be the only person that he's done this with, which might spoil the fantasy in your mind of that approach. But that's what this course is for, right? I want you to kind of get an idea so that when you do run into a guy, you don't just think, "Oh, this was the magical guy," necessarily. You instead think, "Oh, this guy's pretty experienced." And don't look at it negatively. He's building these interactions to find the best person for him. But in the meantime, where he might not go all the way with the people he's attracting, he's gaining repetition so that when he does meet the right lady, he can speak to her in a way where she'll be interested, she'll be charmed, and where essentially he can give her a better experience. So this is so important for the ladies to understand the world that men live in that's a little bit different than the ladies, okay? And also, she's very receptive, right? Look at how receptive she is. Check it out. And I want the ladies to pay attention to this because this is how you also have your own charm as a woman. So let's talk.
Oh, so flamboyant.
How old are you? How old are you?
What do you think?
22.
23.
Oh,
And you are 20.
yeah.
See? Just 3 years. You asked for my age before my name.
Yeah.
Why
Yeah,
that?
because you said you were older.
Well, how old do you think?
See, now she's giving him some challenges because she sees him as somebody that is that she can challenge, right? If it was a super nice guy, she'd probably be a little different. She'd probably be like, "Oh, sorry, I'm not interested." In this case, she's like, what's going on? You know what I mean? She's getting more information. Boom. So boom, that's that. And then finally, okay, we're at the master level. And I'm going to show you what the master level looks like the best way I can. The master level is when it's very natural. Now, one thing you'll notice about the 3 levels I just showed you is that there's still an element of things not being fully natural. And so this is where the master level is to me. Now, this guy, I haven't watched, none of these people I showed you, I don't watch any of their videos, right? I just looked up videos on people approaching so I could find examples of what I would see as, fitting into one of these categories. But this game that I'm going to show you is just a normal guy, but this will give you an idea of what happens when you begin to put in your reps and you keep going from where that guy I just showed you just now. Once you get to that level, there's a level beyond that, and it looks a little bit more like this. So let's take a look at what this level looks like when you get here.
Look.
Okay, now.
I'm the man that stepped up.
Now, this is a normal guy. He's not super tall, whatever. He's not, some people might say that he's attractive. Hey, but at the end of the day, what I want you to understand is you can see from his videos he's doing his repetition. And when you get into a great flow as a guy when it comes to approaching, just communicating, because these skills translate to the business world as well. It translates to the elevator if you live, if you're at work or if you live in an apartment or something and there's people in the elevator with you. Are you willing to communicate or are you being quiet? right? Well, this is somebody that's been communicating a lot to where he's very comfortable just expressing whatever comes to his mind. We'll touch on that a little bit more, but I want you to take a look at how this interaction goes.
Lulu? It's nice to meet you, all right? Shaq.
You came all the way in here just to get
You think you're right?
Yeah.
I'm 24.
Yeah. You're beautiful. How old are you?
I'm 24. How old are you?
I was a little younger than you.
So you think I'm cute?
Okay, now I think what's important is he showed you some of the rejections or some of the challenges he goes through where every woman isn't just going with him, right? So even at the highest level, at the master level, you still deal with objections. You still deal with women that aren't interested. And we'll touch on that on a big key to that in this course. But what you can see is he's comfortable, he's confident, and he's just saying what's on his mind, right? He's like, oh, you think I'm cute, right? Like that's the comfortability you get in where it's just like, hey, you could be so real talking to someone that as a man, those barriers of nervousness and things are gone. And women generally find that very attractive as long as it isn't arrogance and, you know, being too cocky, right? But that's kind of the playful cockiness that comes from just being comfortable. And for the ladies out there, the guys that are going to give you the kind of smoothest interactions are generally going to be guys that are comfortable with themselves because they've put the repetitions in and they understand women a little better. That's what you're doing with this course. You're learning to understand women better, and that's what's going to make you more effective for the woman you deal with. So let's just look at this interaction really quick.
I can't spell, I'm illiterate.
You illiterate, you won't buy. I'm illiterate.
Yeah.
You're looking for the board? Yes.
Now look at the comfort, you know, when he's just in her space, in her aura. There's not a lot of nervous fidgeting. He's just relaxing.
Lulu? It's nice to meet you, all right?
I think that was quick. We'll go to the next one.
Damn, that's shit fire. Talk to you real quick. Yeah, you. Yeah. I need a little help real quick. So I left something here earlier, and I'm not sure if somebody found it.
What was it?
Your name, where you from, where you got your smile from.
Let's go.
For real? So where you from?
Chicago.
Chicago? And since when you came to Atlanta?
It's been a few years.
You like it more here?
It's cool.
You want to go back to Chicago?
Kind of sort of.
On the sort
Little banter.
So what's the deciding factor? What would make you go back to Chicago?
My family.
Your family? So you like your dolo?
Now, what's most important here, it's not what he's saying, right? Because he's just saying whatever's coming to mind. It's the energy. It's the comfortability, right? For the ladies out there, when a man approaches you with this level of comfortability, this is generally going to be a high-level experienced guy. And I think what a lot of women don't understand is this is why you experience challenges getting a man to settle down. Because the person you want to get to settle down, and this is just an idea, this is for all women, but a lot of the time, the guys that women want to settle down with are guys that are masters of the game when it comes to communicating and attracting women. Now, not the other stuff, just attracting. They know how to attract women because they're comfortable in themselves and they're willing to communicate. So when you see, you know, when he's dealing with this girl here and that girl there, and then he meets you, he's attracted to you as well. It doesn't diminish you, but just because he has, an array of different people that he's speaking to, obviously he thinks you're beautiful enough to communicate to you as well. But you have to understand that when someone has the skill set, it's hard to get them to let this all go for one person, right? So you got to understand this is what's going on the other side of the game for men that are approaching women, right? And don't look at this negatively because this is how men hunt. This is how men get women in their lives. They do not have the same matrix as you, ladies, where people are approaching them. You can be them. I've seen men that are football players, basketball players at high levels, super attractive, quote unquote guys, tall, everything. And they'll be sitting there and they do not get approached. So they have to go out there and make things happen. So ladies, I want you to understand this side of the world for men. But this is generally going to be an experienced guy. Like, I'll just let it play a little bit longer, but I want you to just see how natural the conversation is. You know what I mean? And I want you to just see how, the conversation plays out. You know what I mean? For this type of person when it comes to attraction, because at the end of the day, these are situations that you'll encounter. And I want you all to understand, you don't got to be a pro. You know what I mean? Everybody isn't a pro when it comes to dating and attraction. You have to put in your repetition. And this is all a part of that first stage. Who are you? You got to understand, what level am I at on here? Because if I'm inexperienced and I'm new, you can't watch this course and expect to be communicating with women the way this guy was, right? That's unreasonable. You have to put in your repetition, and if you put in your repetition, you get better results. So let's continue and see.
You know you want to. I don't know why you acting like you don't want to. You want to start with Instagram or something?
After deactivated it.
That's perfect. So we gotta get the number going. Just start with the area code. 773. Where you from?
Texas.
Texas? You doing in Atlanta?
Sure.
You live here?
No, I've been here for like a week, so
You like it so far?
So
Oh, what'd you get done?
I got like lipo.
iPhone?
Yeah.
Oh, you look good though. What's your name?
Maddie.
I'm Shaq.
Thank you.
When do you go back to Texas?
Tomorrow actually, I go to LA actually.
Damn.
Yeah.
What's in LA? Yeah, I do. Call me real quick.
I think that's my Uber though. So
Uber?
All right.
yeah.
It was nice.
So that was quick. Just normal conversation. Now, that is the basics of the level you're going to be at. Now, also for the ladies out there, I want you to understand, when she said she was getting lipo, and I notice this with women a lot of the time, women, because they're not the ones having to really pursue to try to impress the person, they just say their natural thoughts, right? Which is fine. But this is one of those situations where you see, as soon as she said lipo, he edited the video where it had that scene where they're like, whoa. This is where you'll deal with guys kind of telling you what you want to hear because they want to get with you. But that might be a red flag. Like, he probably doesn't like that she has lipo, that she said that she came to get lipo, but he still wants to get intimate with her or just communicate with her. So he has her number. So I want you to understand, ladies, this is what's happening. Like, what guys might be attracted to you, but it doesn't mean they want to be in a relationship with you because they might notice certain red flags. And like, for example, getting lipo isn't a bad thing, but to just tell somebody that shows a little bit of social lack of awareness. And it also shows that like she has no desire to really impress him at all, which on one level, there's nothing wrong with that. But on another level, it also shows a lack of awareness. And that's where if they were to continue to date, problems could arise. All of that aside, the master, he's no better than these other guys. He's just a normal guy talking to women like the other guy. The only difference is his comfortability and presence in the interaction. You can only get to a level where you can attract women at a high level by getting that comfortability in those reps. And I just wanted you all to get an idea of what that looks like. So let's continue. So what are you looking for? That's a very big question. What are you looking for? Because everybody's looking for something different. I think this goes back to what we talked about in the earlier question of who are you? You got to understand what you're looking for. Now, once you understand that, like we talked about, marriage, multiple partners, right? I want us to take a deeper look, though, and not just, look at this from the surface level of what you're looking for, right? Because as you can see here, somebody that's smart, that has a degree, that's in good shape, that's over 6 foot, that blah, blah, blah. Then they got the lady that has the looks and all of these different things, right? But what I want you to understand is in the real world, the guy's probably not going to look like this guy here. And the woman's probably not going to look like this woman over here, right? When you go out into the field, you're dealing with real people, right? They might have some of these characteristics, but they might not have all. And I just want to say, whatever you want, just make sure you're looking for the right things, right? And that's what we're going to talk about. Don't let these base level things block you from finding the right person. Because the truth is, any relationship type, right, you can imagine for yourself. Any type of relationship you can imagine for yourself, it is available for you. And it's actually rather easy, if you get out of your own way. Okay. And that's very important. What I've come to learn is a lot of the time we really get in our own way. Okay. And a lot of the time what blocks us from having this experience, look at these two right here. They're on the water, drinking, relaxing. Like, what's stopping you from having that experience with somebody? You know what I mean? And a lot of the time it's ourselves. We can come up with a million reasons why this person isn't good enough. We can come up with a million reasons why we aren't good enough. Or we can come with a bunch of reasons why this isn't the perfect time, right? There's so many reasons that the brain, the voice in our head, is just saying things to keep us where we are. And what I'm here to say is you can manifest any relationship type you desire tomorrow, today. You can do it today. You just step outside. And if you're willing to do the things we're going to talk about, you will be able to make it happen for yourself very easily. So I want you to get out of this mentality that it's hard and it's all of this and it's all of that. That's what the masses are doing. That's what a bunch of people are doing, which is why they are stuck. I want you to understand that it's actually easy and that you can have an amazing relationship for yourself as long as you know what to look for. Remember, as I mentioned, it's like a map and navigating, right? You put it into your GPS where you're going and you're headed there. So I want you to have the right tools so that you're headed to the right place. Because if we base it off of those characteristics that I just showed you, just the looks and the exterior, and he has the credentials, all of that is the fluff. It's the exterior. But what's really going on the inside? And that's what we're going to talk about. So what's been blocking you, right? You're obviously watching this course because something has been blocking you from having the relationship that you desire fully. It might be an ex that you dealt with. It might be nobody you've dealt with. It might be situations that always you end up attracting the wrong people, toxic people, or you don't attract anybody at all, or it's too much. Regardless, what is blocking you, right? Well, as I mentioned, we are our greatest enemies when it comes to manifesting what we want. The brain can create all of these reasons why you can't get what you want. And you got to understand, why am I thinking this way, right? Is it from past experiences? Is it from past traumas? Is it because you've just been striking out and now, you just think this is what life is going to be, right? So what I wanted to do, let's watch this video that kind of touches on some of the blockages that people are experiencing and what that looks like. All right, let's get it.
Than it's ever been.
I was friends with my boyfriend before we started dating, and I feel like that's a more natural transition than like seeing features on your screen and trying to make a decision based on like a list of things.
People just try and avoid things because I think they're scared to say things straight up.
One red flag and you're kind of like, oh, I could go find somewhere else. You don't need to have one person when you could have like 5.
Honestly, I don't know. I've had really bad luck. So everything. Like, I've been treated like shit.
I think a big part of it is because of social media.
People see a lot, they expose to a lot. They're always looking for better.
Everyone is always looking for the best thing, and they always think something else is around the corner, and you almost have too much access to too many people.
Is dating today, in your opinion, harder than it's ever been?
I was friends with my boyfriend.
So there we go. So trust me, you're not alone. Like, these are issues that a lot of people talk about of what's blocking them from getting the person they want. It's the, social media, it's people being too picky, it's people being this, people being that, right? Everyone has their reasons that are legitimate. But what we want to touch on is how do we remove these blockages so that you can have the experience you desire? So what we want to do is take a look here, and I'm here to let you all know you got to let go. Let go of all of those negative reasons. Let go of all of those things that are blocking you. You have to let go in order to receive. And the problem is a lot of you are going out here into the dating world, hanging on to this baggage, hanging on to these old stories, these old narratives. And what you'll find is the old stories you hang on to become the thinking that drives you in the today. You know, when you carry old stories with you, those stories end up creating your future, right? Because you're carrying those stories with you. So you're in a present moment seeing new things, but you got the same old story. So you're not even going to pay attention to those things that are in front of you right now because the old story is what's true. You have to let go of these things. You have to empty the house to create new space for new furniture, right? And that's what's going on here. So at this stage, it's very important. Whatever you thought, you know, attraction was about and what men like and what women like and how men are and how women are, let it go. Because once we touch on what's coming up, I want you to have the space in your mind to accept it and to utilize it. So at this point, let go of whatever you thought was the case and open your mind to a new understanding from the 5D of what attraction is really about, right? And look at what actually attracts men and women on a broader level. I want you to kind of leave your own brain and your own stories and narratives, and let's look at the science and study the field of what's going on. The same way you would study animals, you know, and how they mate and how they attract other partners, like how birds will get big and show off their colors. Like every animal has a different mating ritual that they utilize. For us, we have our own things that are generally very attractive for men and very attractive for women. And that's what we want to understand. Because if you understand that, it don't matter what's going on in the society, you're still going to get what you want because you understand what at the base level, the core desires of the men and women around you, what really is important. So let's check it out. So we're going to touch on the science of primal attraction. And this is something that I love to touch on, you know, the science of it. And I actually did a video on it. So we'll actually take a look at this slide where I can show you just some of the things that, you know, go into attraction. Now, I think this is a very important slide because in this video, I don't just talk about primal attraction or attraction on a level of the, you know, the mental and all of those things. I touch on the physical first. So I want us to understand, what is physical attraction about? Okay. And that's what we're going to look at now. So take a look.
The science of attraction is simple. People move toward things that look balanced, and people move away from things that look imbalanced. That's the idea of beauty. Beauty is essentially looking symmetrical, looking very symmetrical. Ugly, quote unquote, or unattractive is not looking as symmetrical. So for example, let's say somebody has, their eyes are symmetrically well with their nose and their lips. They're generally going to be somebody you consider attractive. Their breasts might be symmetrical with their butt. For a guy, his chest, his abs are symmetrical, you know. Now, let's say somebody's eye is, the left eye is going up and the bottom eye is going down. They're not parallel. They're like, they are parallel, but they're not even, right? Now that's going to look unattractive. Let's say somebody's nose is extremely skinny and long or extremely big and large. It can throw somebody off. Let's say somebody's lip, like if you ever seen like a cleft lip or a lip that's been damaged, like, you know, even with someone's body, let's say somebody has some big scars, or let's say somebody's super skinny, or let's say somebody's super big, you know, there's an imbalance there, which kind of pushes the person away. A good example is if you look at Halloween and scary movies and stuff like that, normally the scary characters are like bones, and they look like they're dying. They look like death, right? We are attracted to life and beauty, and we are unattracted to death naturally because the subconscious mind, it wants to survive. And when it sees things that look like survival, it moves toward it, that can reproduce, create life. You know, the act of having sex and all of this, really the underlying real reason is to create life. So we move toward that which looks symmetrical and which looks youthful and lively. And we move away from things that are unsymmetrical and that look like it's dying or decaying. And so this goes back to the video I just dropped, which says the number one choosing signal is eye contact. Because if somebody looks at you for more than 2 seconds, they're looking at you and they're not because you look survival. Something about you looks survival. It's attractive. You know, let's say your eyes are symmetrical. Let's say your eyes are green. Now they might look at your eyes longer because your eyes are attractive. It's colorful. It looks like life, right? Or it might just be you and they're looking at you. So if they look at you for more than 2 seconds, they're definitely attracted. Because if they aren't attracted, naturally they're going to look away from you. You ever seen somebody that you're just not attracted to? You either don't notice them or there's nothing to really stare at unless there's something obvious in their face like that's standing out. Otherwise, there's no reason for them to stare at you long, especially women, because women already know that when they stare at guys, it can trigger the guy to be like, oh, does she want to talk to me? You know, so they don't really want to be bothered, especially beautiful women. So this is the science of attraction on a very basic level. I'll go further in the next video.
All right. So this is a very important video. And the main thing I want you to pull from this as well is understanding how eye contact is so important, and how one of the main ways to understand attraction is by somebody, how long they look at you. So we'll touch on that a little bit more shortly, but that's one of the big things to understand. And that's the science behind why somebody's looking at you for 2-3 seconds, is because your face is symmetrical, whatever, and it's keeping their attention. Just like a movie, just like a commercial, you know, the more that the commercial holds your attention, the more that they're attracting you, right? And commercials are generally short, which goes to show you they're not expecting you. You don't have to look at somebody for a whole minute or 30 minutes for them to be attracted. It takes 2, 3, 5 seconds, right? People pay millions of dollars for seconds when it comes to commercials during the Super Bowl. Seconds, okay? You got to be perceptive. And now let's talk about what actually attracts men, right? So first, for the ladies, what attracts men? Because women, we know looks. But outside of that, women give a lot of different answers. Okay, and a lot of the time they're not very good answers. A lot of the time they are, but it's kind of hard to really tell. So I wanted to break down these 5 things. Now, just so you know, obviously men can be attracted to women for hundreds of things past this. Same thing on the other side. But I wanted to highlight the main things that universally attract men from what I've seen and studied and learned in my experience of life. Number 1, obviously aesthetic beauty. I put in parentheses body game. I put that in for the men too. The body is very important. It's not the only thing, but aesthetic beauty, we can call that I added style as well. So for me, it's like this. If you're already somebody that's considered very pretty, you want to take care of yourself and you want to have a nice style, right? And that just puts it over the top. Now, let's say you're somebody that might not be considered the most attractive girl in the world, or the most attractive. You might be a girl that a lot of people, you know, or who isn't considered attractive by most people. But regardless, if you're working on your body and you're working and you have a style, that will always get your foot in the door. That will always give you an opportunity, because something about when you're working on your body, working out, just the trying to do that, it gives you this energy and this glow. And your style is opportunities for someone to notice something about you other than just your looks. So you want to maximize on the things that enhance your look. It's, you know, because somebody's always going to find someone beautiful. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So there's no one size fits all when it comes to beauty, but we do have things that are more common and less common. So the whole point is, if you can work on your physical physique, and if you can work on your style as a woman, right, that gives a man an opportunity to be like, oh man, she be so fresh. Like, she got a look to her. Oh, I like those shoes. I like those pants. And now they can begin to value aspects about yourself, which then open the door for them to like more qualities about you. So, I see a lot of the time women going out there not really paying much attention to how they look, not spending time in the gym. I know, ladies, I know it's so busy right now. I know a lot of women are working. It's hard. They got kids, different things, but you got to prioritize your body. Now, I'm not going to harp on that because I want to touch on these other qualities, but I wouldn't be right if I didn't say, hey, look, emphasize the body. And until you can get in the gym, because I know it's a process to do that, so I'm not expecting you to get in the gym tomorrow if you're not in the gym, you can always work on your style. That's something you can control, right? And I want you to really spend time on that because your style can really, there's a lot of men out there that like a woman that is fresh, that knows how to dress, that has a little pop to her, and that'll get you a long way. Now, number 2 is energy. And this is no order or anything, but energy. That's your aura. And I highlighted this because to me, this is the most important thing. Your energy, you have to have a good energy and a good vibration. I understand that life and challenges and men might have beaten you down. And I know that there might be a lot of past issues that you've experienced that kind of weigh down on your spirit. I know that life presents challenges every day that is difficult. That makes it hard to really go out there and try to focus on being attractive and having this good aura, but you have to have a good energy. That will take you so far as a woman, because what a lot of women don't understand is that men are going out every day and encountering so many women that are not very friendly, not very inviting, not very receptive, not giving a warm energy. And as I just showed you a bunch of videos of men having to be the ones to approach women. So how is a high-level guy going to approach you and your energy isn't even approachable? You look like you don't want to be bothered, right? That's not going to cut it. So make sure to have a good energy whenever you're in the motion of attracting. And you might have this very good energy and run into a bunch of knuckleheads or a bunch of guys that are a-holes. The power or the gift for you that I want you to practice, ladies, is when you do run into that guy, don't let them make you shut down that energy and go back into a negative aura. Make sure that you say, hey, are those isolated situations with those guys, but I'm going to still keep the right energy. And trust me, that's going to go a long way for you. Next is communication. Look, man, communication, I put compatibility there. We're going to touch on that a little bit more, but communication is key. You got to be able to have a natural, good communication. And by doing that, it's just about, when you're talking to a guy, seeing how you all relate, looking for similarities, commonalities. I notice a lot of the time when guys talk to women, it can feel like the woman is at odds with them, as if there's this battle. And I'm here to tell you, ladies, like, it shouldn't be like that. It should be very natural. I think women, a lot of the time, because they're in a mentality where they have to protect themselves, there's a bunch of different guys with different agendas approaching them. But ladies, what you got to understand is, you don't want to have a situation where you're trying to block men off, because first of all, on an energy level, that's not very inviting. And then from a communication level, it's stagnated communication. The most magnetic woman I know, if you talk to them, they're just open. It's like, oh, hey, yeah, I used to do that. I used to do this, because their guard isn't up. So a lot of you ladies have your guard up. I want you to be aware of that you may have a guard up, which is blocking men from approaching you or wanting to communicate with you. Or guys might talk to you and you rush out of the conversation, right? Which I get it. If you're like an inexperienced woman, you might be nervous, right? Or if you're a woman that's been through a lot of problems, you might not want to talk. But you have to have that openness and communication so that you can have that back and forth. Very important. Feminine energy, got to be receptive and open. That's what I mean when I say feminine energy. Is that receptiveness, that openness, that nurturing. Now, you don't have to nurture a stranger, right? Because he's approaching you, but you can still have a receptive energy. That's really the key. Are you open and receptive to what they're talking about? Asking questions, curious. Like, these are the things that makes, men melt, because we're like, oh, wow, she's actually interested. She's actually warm. She's receptive. So that's key. And then helpfulness, and this is more so as you all begin to date. Are you somebody that goes into dating just thinking, oh, what are you going to do for me? Or are you somebody that goes into dating thinking, okay, let me vibe with this person. And through communication, you might find out ways where you can help. Like this person might do building and you might say, oh, there's actually somebody looking for this. Or this person might be wanting to start something and you can help them. Like you want to collaborate and network. You know, you want to treat this like even like a job, because the people you meet, you might not end up dating them, but they might be good connections. And that's why it's important to keep the right energy and always try to have a helpful energy, because let's say you do meet one of these guys that is very experienced, right? What's going to separate you from the 5 other women that he spoke to when he was in the mall or whatever? And you first, you know, a lot of women might get triggered and say, well, I don't want to, but don't, that's the wrong mentality. That's not being receptive and open, right? You want to be like, okay, if a young gentleman walked up to me while he's exploring, seeing who's the right woman for him, and we talk, you know, if you're able to be helpful to this person where, oh, wow, I actually, you know, they'll be like, oh, I actually see this girl a little bit deeper because she's actually helping me or has the ability to help me move forward in life. She has something to talk about. She has some wisdom. She's interesting. Like this is what guys look for. They look for the woman that they just want to sleep with. And the ones that stand out are the ones where, okay, yeah, I still want to sleep with you potentially, right? For a lot of guys. Some guys might not want to, but, you know, they might say, hey, I'm still attracted to you, but man, like, what are you about? Like, are you just another airhead? Because I'll just sleep with a girl like that. But the girl I'm going to keep is the one that adds to my life, the one that actually remembered your birthday and dropped off something to you, or actually remembered this and did it for you. Like, oh, wow. That's what separates a girl. Now, that doesn't mean every guy, because you do something to help them, is going to reciprocate that. But I want you to understand this. It's not about them, ladies. It's about you, because that's just the person you are. And by being a person like that, one of these guys are going to say, oh, that I'm snatching this girl up. She's different. So these are the things that will make you so different from the rest of the other women that a man, especially an experienced, quote unquote, high value, they try to say, experienced man, that these are the qualities he's really looking for. Because looks, he can get looks in abundance. All he has to do is communicate with a lot of girls. He's going to run into girls that he can sleep with. What separates you from the ones he can sleep with? It's these simple qualities: your energy, you're warm, you know, you have your style to you, you're a helpful person that's willing to communicate, and you got a good energy, and you're receptive and open. Those simple things will change your world. I'm telling you, ladies. All right. And we're almost done with the first module, but you know, that's what attracts men, ladies. And for the guys now, I'm gonna shift over to the guys and say what attracts women. Okay, and this is for the guys, and this is good because I wanted to do it for both men and women, because for the men, this is helping you know what to look for as well. Because like I said, every man isn't looking for these qualities. This is more so going to be what an experienced man is looking for. And so for you guys out there that's just looking to sleep with women and that's all you want to do, you need to ask yourself, like, am I looking for these other qualities too? Because if I'm not looking for these other qualities, then that goes to show you what kind of quality woman you might end up getting, right? And how the woman might deal with you, because you're just dealing with her from a place of looks. So I want you to keep that in mind. Now, for the ladies, this is important too, because, you know, I want the guys to understand what attracts you all. And us men also look for the wrong things a lot of the time, right? So with that being said, matter of fact, let me make sure I didn't have anything on here that I wanted to share with you all in terms of video. I don't think I did. Okay. Let me just stress this out. My notes at. There we go. I was like, yeah, where's my notes at, man? All right, cool. All right, yep. So let's move on to the next slide. So what actually attracts women, right? Let's talk about that. What attracts women, simple thing is, I put playfulness first. That's not the main one. But playfulness is, to me, adaptability. It's movement. I think guys, you can't, if the guys approach women with the mentality of, you know, they come off so serious a lot of the time, and it's boring. Like the lady said, it's boring. So in order to have that flexibility when you're communicating, when a woman throws a curveball at you, when she, you know, says something that you weren't expecting her to say, when you're playful, you're not taking anything serious. Why so serious, right? Like, don't take everything serious. It's about fun. It's about play, because whether you end up attracting her, whether she's attracted to you or not, you can still have a playful, fun interaction, and that will take you a long way. That helps build momentum. So you got to be playful. It goes with being funny. It's just, you don't have, and for my guys out there, you might not be somebody that's a jokester. So it's not about you being joking and having these lines to make her laugh. It's about just having an adaptable energy that's not rigid. So you just come off playful and not over, you know, not going into it with too much investment. Next, willingness to communicate. Now, this is the most important thing. That's why I highlighted it. You can't create new opportunities without communicating first. What attracts a woman is a man that's willing to communicate. You already saw a woman say, like, a lot of men don't reach out to them. You know, a lot of men aren't communicating. And that's one of the biggest problems right now. So many guys trying to attract women through social media and dating apps and Instagram. And, you know, these are some of the worst places a lot of the time, because women have so many options on these platforms versus you being able to talk to her in real time. What that does for a woman is very powerful, and it communicates a lot about you as a man. Okay. Style and looks. It's the same thing I said with the woman. Like, just because, you know, men tend to be the ones that are more known for caring about looks doesn't mean women don't care either. Women care about looks. And if you don't believe me, all you got to do is talk to the guys I've talked to that are in really good shape. There's nothing more magnetic than having an attractive body game, good looks. Like, you know, now for the guys that don't have the looks, these other things I'm talking about will benefit you. But even if you don't have the looks, like you might not have the prettiest face, you might be a shorter guy, you know, might be a bigger guy, not, you know, in the best shape, you can still control your style and your look, right? Now, of course, getting in the gym is key, because one thing about body game that's so important, and I could have a whole nother thing on body game, but it's a primal attractive force. Like, the way women look at you when you have a nice physique is like nothing else, right? But you might be a guy that's completely overweight and that's short and that doesn't have the most attractive face. But if you got a good style to you and you're starting to go to the gym, but especially if you can at least take care of your style before you hit the gym, you're going to have an aura to you, and that can be very attractive and get you in the door. Okay. And then we have here, let me see. We have here momentum. Momentum is key. And momentum means repetition. You have to be approaching a lot of women. And there's guys out there. This is one of the biggest rebuttals. I hate when guys say this. I just keep it to myself or whatever. But when guys say, oh, yeah, I've talked to a bunch of girls before. I don't feel like doing it. I already know what it's like. To me, that's just an excuse. Like, to me, it's like, man, you don't know nothing, because you're not even a master for real. Like, at that master level. And one thing that those guys know at the master level, they respect repetition. Just like if you're a basketball player, when you get to the NBA, you're taking more shots than you did when you were in high school and college. You're playing the game more. You're doing this for real now. Same thing. Momentum. You got to build. You can't even be a master without putting in your reps every day, talking to women all the time. So if you're not talking to women at all and you just expect to stumble across a girl on your first or second try and not look like an idiot, you're totally disrespecting development. Like, that's not how it works. So I need you guys to understand that you got to be willing to communicate. And one of the best ways to do that is talk to 5 women a day, but you don't have to say anything directly trying to get them. You could just say, oh, hey, that's a nice shirt you got. Just keep walking. Oh, hey, that's a nice watch you got. Just keep going. Right? You're just building the comfort of talking to a stranger that's a woman. And then you build from there. You might continue conversation, but the idea is just building comfort. Another great tool is to go out and do like salsa dancing, any kind of social thing that kind of puts you in an environment where people got to communicate. That's really good because you're not just communicating with strangers, you're actually in an environment where it's okay to communicate. Another thing I recommend is going out with, other guys or friends that are, good at talking to women. Like, honestly, the most success I've had a lot of the time is just seeing somebody, just being with somebody out at night and seeing how they talk to women and being like, oh yeah, I need to step it up. And that's what we'll do with, like, if you're boot camps, if you ever want to meet with me, you can always reach out to me. I'll have these available soon or it's probably already available where you can reach out to me and we can do a boot camp over the weekend, just talking, communicating. But it's just good to get around people and communicate, but you have to communicate. We'll talk about that more later. Vision, ambition. You got to be somebody that has ambition, that's going somewhere in life, because that just helps with your communication. Number one, people want to talk to somebody that where it feels like they're going somewhere with their life. So that's important. And then the second important thing when it comes to having vision and ambition is it makes it where you're not totally obsessed with just with the girl, right? You need to have an aura where she's like, okay, he has something going on with his life. It's not just going to revolve around me. Now, of course, she's going to enjoy, her partner revolving around her, but she wants a partner that also has other things going on with his life so that it doesn't become one of those things where she feels like she's being stagnant by being with you. All right. And so body game, I just want to touch on that again. You may not have the exact face and physical features you desire, but you can always improve your body, which is very important. Body game is key for men and women. I mean, for women, men have a natural primal attraction. And look, there's a lot of things you can do to enhance your look. You might not have the perfect looks and this and that, but at the end of the day, you can definitely enhance your looks if you take care of yourself. And the response you get when you take care of yourself is like none other. So I just want you to keep that in mind. And I'll be doing videos on the channel touching on this a bit more, but just wanted to say, I don't want to underemphasize. Look, you might not be able to control your face and your everything like that, but you're going to the gym. You can control that. It's just a mental block you got to get past. And like I said, if you're not in the gym yet, your style, I want you to take a good exercise to do. I want you to write this down. Is to imagine yourself like you're in a video game, and you can choose the archetype you want to have and the look you want to have. And I want you to write down what that would look like if you were the coolest version of yourself. Okay? And and also what you can do is you can either use that or you can pick an archetype that already exists that you resonate with. Could be a superhero, could be a rock star, could be a rapper, could be an actor, could be an actress, whatever. But I want you to pick the character that you resonate with or what you imagine yourself to be at your best. And I want you to utilize that as a goal, which you want to move toward. So now, this is the final part of this of the module. This is the last slide we'll touch on coming up here. Is the signs of interest, the choosing signals. How do you? All right. So let's say you utilize these triggers of attraction and understand what attracts the person. And now, you're working on your body, you're being social, you're getting the right energy, you're going out there. How do you know somebody is showing you interest where they want you to talk to them? How do you know if a guy's interested in you or a woman's interested in you and that they're attracted to you? Well, these are the key things to look out for when it comes to attractiveness. Number one, eye contact, right? And I wanted to touch on a video that kind of goes into that. This is a woman explaining what to look out for when it comes to signs of attractiveness. So let's take a look.
If they're just looking at you, they want you to come up to them.
I'm taking mental notes.
And this is my hand. I literally kept going like this. And we made eye contact, I swear to you, like maybe 8-9 times. So that was my hint, like come up to me, like I'm obviously think you're cute or something, right? Did not come up to me. And I was like,
basically
read her mind. Okay, that's kind of what I was saying. I get back home, I wake up the next day, I get a DM. Hey, saw you at the Steve Madden event. You're really cute. I open it. It was a pink shirt guy. I was like, why didn't you come up to me? Like at the actual thing.
Guys are scared nowadays.
Guys are so scared.
Do you want to know your hint to go up to a girl? Eye contact. If they're just looking at you, they want you to come up to them.
All right, boom. So they're letting you know if they're just looking at you, if a guy is staring at a woman for more than 2 seconds, he's probably attracted to you. I put 3 seconds to be safe, right? And vice versa. If a woman's looking at you and she's like this, she's looking, odds are she's probably interested. And that's what you want to look for. Eye contact to me is the strongest signal of attraction because it's so innate. And once somebody looks at you for 2-3 seconds, they've already done it. You know that's the number one choosing signal. And the number one sign of interest is eye contact. Another thing you'll notice is hair touching. Like if someone's touching their hair, they're doing something, that's a way to distract the person because they're like, oh, I'm looking at this person. They want to do something physical with their body to not appear awkward, right? So what you realize is everyone's walking around. And this is one thing I wanted to say is when you understand this, nature begins to bolster you. It begins to work in your favor to help you because you know what's going on now. And that's what's going on is like when someone's attracted to you, they might touch their hair, they might do something because everyone's moving through the world in nature, being very attractive and looking at other attractive people. And we're just like a bunch of, just like if you look at a tree and the fruit falls from the tree and it has a seed in it and that seed goes into the ground. That's nature procreating, right? There's seeds everywhere. There's fruits everywhere. It's abundance. It's growth. Nature's desire is for there to be more, is for the population to continue to grow, is for people to interact, is for mating to take place so that more people are born and there's more abundance in the world. So everything is driving us to interact and be attracted to one another. It's just all the signals we're blocking in ourselves and everything that we're not paying attention to is what's leaving us in this lonely matrix. So look out for that. You see a girl looking at you. You see somebody touching their hair that might be interested. Friendly communication. Like you notice when those guys approached the girls were friendly and being receptive. They were friendly and warm. Whenever someone is being warm and friendly to you in communication, whether a man or a woman, they're probably like you on some kind of level, even if it's basic. And even this even goes with guys and girls, like just like a friend. Like it's the same thing. Like, if someone's having a good conversation with you and they're being friendly and receptive, you two will probably end up being friends. And that's how attraction works. Attraction works on the level of just friends, networking. All this is attraction. We're just talking about it in the context of dating. And then finally, curiosity. If someone's curious, that means that they're probably interested. They're asking questions about you. They want to know more about you. These are all things that show interest. And then finally, this is the big question. Do you meet this criteria? Because the reality is that you attract that which you are. And so there's so many people out there saying, oh, I want this, and this person has to do this, and this person has to do that. But the question is, are you even worthy of attracting that, right? Like, look, you don't have to meet the perfect criteria to get the person. You don't have to have the body and the warmth and all of this stuff together. But, this is a good measure to see where you stand in the sexual marketplace. If you have all of those qualities that I mentioned, then you're probably somebody that is pretty magnetic and that gets indicators of interest, right? That get those signals that people are interested, that gets those choosing signals, But let's say you only have one out of those 5 things. Well, now you got some work to do, right? So this determines how much abundance and options that you can have is by the more. Make sure you write down those things because those 5 things, if you combine those 5 things, you now have the tools to have a very abundant dating life and to be very attractive. Just by meeting some of these metrics, right? You're already in the 10%. And that's what I'm going to explain in module 2 is that you don't have to have everything be perfect to attract people, right? Everyone has all these standards. You got to be this, that. The reality is you only need like these 4 or 5 qualities. And what you'll find out is that you actually will have more success than you realize, right? So I wanted to show this video that kind of show how delusional we look at times with all of these standards that don't even matter. Everything that people list, you got to make this money, you got to be this tall, you got to do all of this. I didn't mention none of that in here because those things are the exterior things that you put on a piece of paper, right? When you're looking for a potential partner on paper, but this is real life. And this is how some of us look when we have all of these standards. Just take a look at this.
6 feet.
Yeah, that's where they get you. Would you exclude obesity?
Absolutely.
Minimum income. So
I'm gonna say at least 200.
200 grand?
You can be 30 years
Oh
old and
my
make 200.
goodness. Take a guess at what percentage of men fit this criteria. 2%? Much lower. It's 0.049%.
All right, is this going on the TV?
Minimum height.
6 feet.
Yeah.
All right, minimum height, 6 feet.
And that's where they get you. Would you exclude obesity?
Absolutely.
Minimum.
So keep in mind, everyone that is obese is not, somebody that weighs a ridiculous amount of weight. A lot of people who are obese are just people who are a little bit, thick, right? I've been obese at a point in time and didn't even know. I was like, man, I didn't even know I was obese. But based on the BMI scale, I was obese at one point because I was a little bit bigger, drinking a lot of protein, working on bulking up. And next thing you know, I'm on the obese side of the scale. That excludes people, right? There's so many people that are under 6 foot excluded.
Income. So
I'm gonna say at least 200.
And how many people make under 200,000? So what you begin to see is she's creating her own cage when it comes to her dating options. And so many people are doing this. Women, I know we've seen it again and again that the women do this all the time. But the guys too. She got to look this way. She has to be this particular skin color, this particular this and that. And you're just creating your own cage. You know what I mean? Because number one, you're creating all these standards for somebody to enter your world. But then number two, what you'll end up realizing is all these standards you're making up don't even matter, right? So the good news is by just meeting some of the things I mentioned, you're already in the 10%. You're already in the 10% most attractive people by just implementing some of the things I said. And in the next module, that's where we take it to the next level. This is where we talk about dating. And this is where we talk about the tools that you will have in your toolbox to be the most attractive person you could possibly be and one of the top 10% most attractive people in the environment, okay, when it comes to dating and attraction. So with that being said, I look forward to continuing, and I look forward to seeing you in the second module. Make sure to watch this again, write notes, overview everything we talked about, because it was a lot of information in this first part. But get ready, because we take it up to the next level in the second module. And then from there, the third module is pretty quick compared to the first two. So keep in mind, the first one is probably the longest. Second one is the second longest, and the third one's quick. But this is the basis that I need you all to understand so that you can go out there and win. So that being said, I appreciate you all listening, and I will see you in the second module. Peace.